Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. I'm 𝗁𝗁𝗂 and my mission is to inspire you to grow, stand out, and take action towards the next level of your life. I interview leaders, authors, successful entrepreneurs, spiritual teachers, exceptional people who will inspire you to improve your life. Tune in for 2 episodes each week and make sure you subscribe to get them as soon as they are released. Welcome to Personal Development Mastery Podcast, episode 139. Today I will conclude the reflective exercise which I started doing 10 episodes ago in 129, when I started sharing my key lessons that I got by being coached by Will Polston and attending his events and workshops for over 4 years now. And the timing of this episode is also very appropriate because last weekend I participated as a crew member and also as an MC on Will's event, Unlock Your Potential. This was the 8th time for me at the event, and each time I have different takeaways, deeper layers of understandings and insights and actionable items. And I wanted to share and discuss this as a conclusion to those 10 things I learned from exercise, which, as I said, I started back in episode 129. The previous time I had shared 4, so today it's 6 more lessons along with my thoughts and observations. And first let me give you those 6 lessons, just the titles of them, and then I will go into a little bit more detail of each of them. So the first one is our values. The second, it's not about me. The third, how we interpret our internal state. Fourth, the immense power of the words that we use. Fifth, daily routine, in particularly 3 elements. And sixth, the power of that moment of decision, of commitment. So let me go through each of those 6 in a little bit more detail. The first learning I'm going to share today is about values. It is very important to understand and recognize our values because they drive our behavior without us many times even realizing it. And to simplify things a little bit, there are 2 different types of values. The first are the values that we are motivated to move towards. So things like success or security or passion or love and intimacy or health. And the second type are the values which we do everything we can to avoid experiencing. For example, rejection or failure or guilt or anger or regret. And the thing is that each of us has a set of values. Even more importantly than the set of values is the hierarchy of values. In other words, the order that we deem them important. And if you are interested in finding out more about values, then Dr. John Demartini has done extensive and wonderful work on values. And I will direct you to his website, drdemartini.com, where he has an amazing value determination process. Another big learning, the second one, and it is something that I personally constantly work on myself to establish, is shifting my focus and attention from myself towards others. And this is something that I believe is very useful to always keep in mind when we're dealing with other people, for example, in our job or in our service to others, when we serve others. And let me explain. When there is an interaction between ourselves and others, we can either have attention and focus on ourselves or on making a difference to others. And when we shift our attention from ourselves to others, what happens is that takes away that pressure, that fear of how I will perform or how good will I be. And it puts this attention and focus onto how can I serve, how can I help these people. And that fear, all those behaviors associated with that fear that maybe I'm not good enough or maybe I will fail, once we shift our attention and put it towards the other person or people that we're dealing with, then that fear goes away. So shifting our attention towards the opportunity we have to help others is something I try to keep in mind always, rather than thinking about myself. The third big learning is the way that we interpret our internal state, the way that we feel. And that makes a massive difference in the way that we will behave. And let me give you an example. So let's say it's your grandmother's 100th birthday. And there is a big celebration arranged with all the family there. And your cousin is meant to sing a song that him and you have composed together to honor this occasion for your grandmother and all the family. And on that day, your cousin suddenly has lost his voice because of a cold. So the only other person that can sing this song in front of all the family, like these 50 people or 100, is you. So my question is, how would you feel if all of a sudden that task was put upon you without any preparation, I don't even know if you consider to have a decent voice to sing. The interesting thing is that once we are presented with a situation like that, we will invariably have some physical sensations. That this could be like our heart beating faster, or we could have butterflies in our stomach, or we might have sweaty palms. The big difference is how do we interpret those sensations, because we could either interpret them as excitement for what's going to happen, that we're going to sing and honor the grandmother, or it could be fear of what is going to happen. And actually this ties in very well with what I was saying earlier about taking our shift, our attention from ourselves to other people. So in this particular example, if we think about how well we're going to perform the song, or what will others think of us, or how they're going to judge us, or whether we would be humiliated, or whatever other fear, is all about thinking about ourselves. But if we take that attention, that focus, and put it towards honoring the occasion, honoring the grandmother, honoring all these people and the 100th birthday, then this exact same physical sensation is not translated as fear anymore. It is more translated into excitement. So it is very important to understand that the exact same physical sensation, like your heart beating faster, or sweaty palms, or a bit of a dry throat, all these things, you can either say, oh, I'm sick to my stomach of nervousness, or you can say, I'm very excited and that's why I have these sensations. So consider that, and I will leave that sink in. The fourth learning I'm going to share is the immense power that the language that we use has. Words create worlds. And I will give an example. Let's say that you're driving and you have a flat tire or something like that. You could describe this situation as terrible, or a disaster, or it has ruined my day. Or you could describe the situation as an inconvenience. The situation is the same, exactly the same, but the word or the words that you use to describe it, the words you attach to this situation, in this particular case, inconvenient versus catastrophe or disaster are completely different words, and they will create a completely different experience for what's happening. So, if there's something practical to take from this, always be mindful of the language and the words that you use, in this particular case, to describe a situation, because this language can make all the difference in the world. And some people think that it's okay to exaggerate all the time and use words that are not appropriate to the seriousness of a situation. But what we have to understand is that the words that we use create our reality. And there are two more learnings which I'm going to share today and conclude this episode. And the first one is about daily practices. So I'm a big proponent of having a morning routine, and if you win the morning, you'll win the day. And if you lose 1 hour in the morning, you'll spend the whole day looking for it, and all those wonderful quotes. The thing with morning routine, for me anyway, is that over the years that I have been doing it, there are some elements that I add, some other elements that I take away, and in this particular instance, with the event last weekend, I realized that there were 3 practices, very important practices, that somehow had slipped out of my daily routine. So I have decided to reinstall them. And I don't know if you practice those 3 things. I believe they are very important. And first one is cultivating gratitude, the process of writing and feeling gratitude every day. Could be 3 things, could be 10 things. The second is visualizing how we would like our day to be, or visualizing a goal, an achievement, like a mini movie inside our head, inside our mind's eye. And the third daily practice is, what can you celebrate for the day? And that's great to do towards the end of the day, looking back, reflecting on the day that is ending, finding what is it that I can celebrate today. And no matter how bad you think your day might have been, I'm sure there is certainly something that you can be grateful for and celebrate if you choose to do so. And the last learning I'm going to share in this episode and conclude is that the moment you make a commitment to do something, the process has started. And this reminds me of what Tony Robbins says, that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. When we decide and commit to do something, then a process begins. And this process may not be clear or obvious to us, but there is a process that is happening. And I remember reading Wayne Dyer or spiritual books, and they say that this intention in the higher planes, in the subtle planes, is action. Some cogs of action start moving. So when we decide and commit to do something, a process which may not be obvious to us begins. So consider this power that your decisions, your commitment, your intentions have. And its power on many levels, not necessarily the obvious or the visible ones. So keep that in mind. So these were the 6 lessons that I wanted to discuss with you in this episode, and I will reiterate them quickly for you. The first was values. The second was, it's not about me. Third, how we interpret our internal state. 4, the immense power of the words we use. 5, those elements of daily routine, gratitude, visualization. And 6, the power of the moment of commitment, of decision. I hope you found this episode useful, and I'm going to revisit this topic of 10 things I learned from in the future, and share some of my major lessons from other people who have had a a massive impact in my journey of self-transformation and personal development, of this journey towards mastery. And check the link in the show notes to find out more about Will Polston's outstanding event, Unlock Your Potential. I hope you enjoyed listening. If you have, please share this episode with someone who you think will benefit from it. If you want more inspirational and actionable knowledge, join my Facebook group, Personal Development Mastery. The link is in the show notes, or you can type bit.ly/PDM group. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.